Evening, evening, evening. Hello, you lovely people. Welcome to That Mill Podcast, Friday Night Live. Hello to the chat. Hope you're all well. Get your evenings in. How we doing? We're not that late, Peter. We're not late. We're on time today. There's no Mickey here, so we're on time, mate. But joining me tonight, I've got Mr. Frankie. How are you, mate? You all right?
Very good, mate. How you doing? Hello to everyone in the chat.
Yeah. Hello to everyone in the chat. Evening to Carl. Hello to Peter. Hello to Ball 3 Die 3. Hello to Andrew. Hello to Steve. Chris Brown. Hope you're doing good. David, hello. Hope you're doing well. Can't get too excited. Remember, we are Millwall. I mean, I'm sure we'll probably try and tame it in on occasions throughout this evening, but
Absolutely not.
I will go on a questionable wave as we start to look through things. I have no doubts whatsoever, and that's how we do it here, right? But yeah, what I'll do is I'm going to run this intro as per usual, and then we'll get cracking and talk all things play of the season, talk all things, also tomorrow's game, and yeah, I'm just going to cue the intro and then try and do this again afterwards. Bear with.
Language you don't usually hear on television. Millwall in London's Dockland.
No one likes it, but we don't care. We're that Millwall podcast. Loud every Friday night right here. Legends like Jimmy and Abdul take a share in the kitchen of two. Super Neil Harris a fucking legend too. Through the good times and the strife, we support the Lions all our life. This ain't no place for fancy feet. This is fucking Millwall through and through. Located on our very own John Pedersen way. Let them all come, let them have their say. Millwall till we die. With that Millwall podcast, loud every Friday night right here.
Welcome back, Friday Night Live. My name's Omar. Joining me today is Frankie, as mentioned. Tonight we'll be previewing tomorrow's game at home to Middlesbrough. We'll get on to that a bit later. We've got a packed show as always. We'll be previewing tomorrow's game, as mentioned, discussing the play of the season race. Is it Tanganga? Is it the Norre? I'm sure we'll have much of a debate with the chat tonight, and I'll be sure to show a poll we've ran on Twitter this week, which was, as you'd expect, very close, but we'll come on to that in a bit nonetheless. And also debating the more important part. Can we push for the playoffs with just 5 games left? I feel like it's just lingered on, Frankie, mate. It was 7 games. I mean, we lost to Sunderland. It was, here's the 8-game block. Lost to Sunderland. Still an outside chance. Beat obviously Portsmouth last Saturday at the Den to make it 2 wins on the bounce at home. And then we go to Bramall Lane Tuesday, which we discussed obviously in previous show on the space. So we won't go into too much detail, but I'm sure it'll naturally come up. But there's still the outside chance. It's 5 points now, not the 3 points as mentioned. I think Boro, who picked up the win? Coventry picked up the last win, didn't they, against Portsmouth on Wednesday night. But yeah, Frankie, somehow we're still in it, mate, and still in the mix, so to speak.
Absolutely, mate. And I think, as you said, like the amount, if it feels like every other week you'd be sitting here and we'll be sitting in our WhatsApp group going, it's got to be over now, isn't it? Like such an outside bet, and then we come up with a result that no one expects, and a couple of results go our way, and suddenly back in it, right? And that's the Championship. And whilst it might 5 points seems like a lot with 5 games to go, it seems unlikely. Strange things have happened, and this is the Championship. Teams are going to drop points. Teams are going to get unexpected results. They're definitely in the race.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, hello to everyone else who joined the chat. Hello to Leslie. Thanks for pointing out that I looked tired the other day when I done a post dispatch thoughts in the morning on Wednesday morning. You weren't wrong, to be fair, mate. I was shattered, but it's because we've done the space the night before and I was up a bit later. But hello to Mark as well. Hello to Mark Lindsay. Hello to John Parr. Hello, Danny Mill. Hope you're doing well, mate. Chaos Luke and Diggs, of course. No one likes us. We don't care. Yeah, mate, you're right. Just spot on. I think the footballing world's starting to clock onto it now, which is the problem I've got with this whole thing, because being the underdog is perfect. It's just slip under the radar. And as we do as fans, and I can feel myself already being excited for tomorrow's game, and quite promptly with Millwall, we always get brought down, don't we, mate? And
100%.
could that happen tomorrow? I don't know. We'll probably come on to tomorrow's game in a bit more detail, but a bit later on. But it's just the Millwall way, isn't it? I like to be the underdog. I think I've done a little write-up for this playmaking thing we're doing. And it's like, we've been under the radar for the last 2 games. Now it's like, well, you won 2 in a row, and Millwall's starting to, get a good result at Sheffield United on Tuesday night. Can they? And that's when the footballing world clocks on. It's normally when we're disappointed and let down by Millwall, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. It feels like that's when people start cutting on, as you said. And I think I saw a video of Lyle Taylor the other day talk about how good it would be to see Millwall in the Premier League. And you think, when you've got people like that talking about it, people started to cotton on. And that's annoying normally when the bubble bursts. I'd rather no one's talk about it, we catch everyone by surprise. But keep on dreaming, you know. I mean, it's a long old season. It's been quite a difficult 2 years, I think, all in all, with everything that's happened off the pitch and on a lot of change and turnover. The fact that we're in this position is an absolute miracle in a lot of ways. So enjoy it while we can, eh?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Actually, it's just come to my mind. Obviously, I shared the other day the run-in. It's a bit off the cuff here, Frankie, but obviously we've done little predictions, didn't we? And there's a little website tool that I found, which I'm happy to put in the show description if people want to have a bash themselves. But it's on also my Twitter, and I think I might have shared it across the podcast. But it enabled you to guess the fixtures and results between now and the end of the season. It was also like quite, everyone's talking, can we do it? Won't we do it? And it kind of gave me the opportunity to just put results in. I'm terrible at predictions at the best of times anyway. So me getting it right, I'm not the words of wisdom as much as I like to try and say I've got more knowledge than Mickey as such. And albeit Mickey's not here tonight, but, Mickey's known for his football knowledge, as we all know. So, but no, I put my predictions in and I came up with this league table, which is just coming up now. And I know you've done one too, Frankie, but I've got it on here. It's probably not that clear to see for everyone, but obviously there's 5 games to go. It gave me the opportunity to put the scores in, and I kind of backed us to get, I think, 3 wins, 1 draw, and 1 defeat. And obviously then it gave you the chance to also put the other results in. And then I finished with a top 6 of Leeds winning the league, Burnley 2nd, Sheffield United 3rd, Sunderland in 4th, Coventry in 5th, and Bristol City taking the last place in the playoffs with a 4-point gap to ourselves and Middlesbrough, us finishing in 8th place. Then if you look further down, it was quite interesting, I thought, just to see obviously who I had going down as based on the results. And I had Plymouth, Luton and Cardiff City, which is another conversation I suppose we can go on to in a bit, perhaps if we want to talk about the relegation spaces. But it proves that, Frankie, I was quite biased, I felt. 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. People might say we were going to win 5 games, and but Burnley are on the beach by the last game of the season. They'll be on the piss for the whole week and stuff. But
hungover, hopefully, yeah.
I suppose this highlights, though, that's me. I think I've backed us to win our 3 home games, draw at Blackburn, which could easily turn into a win. But it proves it is a big task, this, isn't it? Like, realism does sometimes come into it. If other teams have got decent fixtures, it's not going to be a foregone, even if we won all our games, to be honest.
No, 100%, mate. Ultimately, right, it's not in our hands. We're relying on favours from other teams. I think I did something similar. I did the same as this, and mine come out ever so slightly different. But what it is really hard to predict in that is you do get such unpredictable results. Like sides like Luton, Stoke that are down there fighting will turn up to a Bristol City and will take points off them. That's the Championship. It happens, and we know that we've suffered it so many times. So it's hard to predict these things, isn't it? But I think let me try. I could try and find my one quickly here now, but.
No worries, mate. I mean, I think you had us. I think you done. Did you do 4 wins? Did I imagine that?
4 wins, 1 loss.
Yeah.
Which still wasn't enough. I had us missing out on goal difference, which I've got to say would be an absolute killer, right?
Yeah, goal difference.
That would be all over again, wouldn't it? That'd be awful.
I think what we conclude, though, maybe we take from it. I know you're going to come to us in a sec, but it seems like Burnley. We might have an outside chance on the last day of the season, but then just get brought down back to earth, probably quite humbly, I suppose, at the turf and what it feels like, right?
It all depends on how they've got on. Do you know what I mean? Like if they're, it's going to go one of 2 ways. They're either up and they're buzzing for it and they're down there on the beach, so to speak, or they're 3rd and they're devastated and they're not up for the game. They don't be playing it really. They think they're done and they're disappointed to even be there. So it could go one of 2 ways, but. And what's hard is we look at. I would naturally look at a side like Norwich, Blackburn, and think, they've got nothing to play for. But these are the sides that are dangerous, aren't they? Because they don't really care. There's no pressure on them. They just turn up and beat her. But yeah, I just finished 7th on goal difference, which, as I said, would be an absolute killer. I had Leeds going up, Sheffield United 2nd. My bottom 3 were Plymouth, Cardiff, and Derby. So a little bit different to yours down the bottom. Yeah,
I mean, so you have Sheffield United finishing 2nd, and then therefore Burnley dropping in, right? I take it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. It's this last game of the season, isn't it? I think if in the Half-Blood world we get to that point, I'll read some of your comments out in a second, guys. Just load up a few bits and bobs anyway. But it'd be nice though. I don't know if it's actually a nice thing going up there the last day of the season and wanting a result. I suppose it's it makes it exciting, I suppose, and we'll probably take a few more numbers up there. I suppose if there's anything to hold on to, right, Frankie?
Yeah, mate. If there's something to play for the last game of the season, that away end's going to be absolutely rocking. Just like it was at home against Blackburn a couple of years ago, which we try not to talk about, but it'll be Sunday out, and I think someone said in the chat, it's just nice to be able to talk about it, right? We shouldn't really be in this situation if we're being honest.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's go to the chat. I did ask the question, can we make the playoffs? If you haven't put your comments in already, I'll be sure to bring it up in a bit anyway. Carl Bracey says, as long as we have a chance, we have to believe. Mark Lindsay then says we need to win 5 out of 5. So did Chris Brown. If anything lets us down, it'll be our goal difference from Kenneth, and that's obviously backing up to Frankie's predictions, missing out on goal difference. Remember, we always play poorly when there is a big crowd or a big occasion. I mean, I know I'm part of a fan club that a lot of people don't really like me being part of, but if a certain manager was in charge tomorrow, not that I'm saying I want him back, 'cause I'm very happy with Alex Neil, I'd be a lot more confident. And you're right to point out, David, and maybe the home form is something we can come onto in a sec, because we have picked it up the last couple of games, so maybe that's something we'll come onto in a short while. 70% in predictions from Steve Chilton. Coventry haven't had a bit of bad runs recently. Have had a bit of a bad run recently. Have them lose a couple of games, and who knows? That's absolutely true. Chaos Luke. If we win our home games and draw away, is that enough? Well, I think, what's that? 11 points. It definitely has us probably something to play for on the last day. I mean, that'll be when it's interesting, right? Jem says playoffs has gone. Would be a lovely dream though. Carl Bracey, we have to win all 5 games. Evening to you, Dan, mate. Hope you're well. If Coventry hadn't scored last kick of the match, I think we would still have had a chance.
I agree with that,
Frankie. I think Portsmouth fan, I saw a video going around of them saying Pompey staying up or lay or something like that. And then in the video clip, you see it where it pans across the goal and then the geezers just volley it into the far corner.
Absolute silence, yeah. I've got to say, it was a bit of a signal, wasn't it? And if I'm being completely honest, when that goal went in, there was a bit of me thinking, that's going to make it a lot harder now. Even now, it feels like an outside bet again, pretty much instantly. But, I mean, we can't really complain too much. If we went for a late goal, we wouldn't beat Portsmouth ourselves, right? So, swings around about football, isn't it?
Of course, and also it's nice to still be. I think obviously it's here what Danny Mill points was here. Amazing we're even talking about this given the season we've had, and it's true. But then what part of me also got to keep saying, oh, we've changed manager, we still have an outside chance and stuff. But when more than half the division changed their manager throughout the season, it's kind of like you're a victim of the circumstances, but everyone else is going through the exact same ringer almost. If you know what I mean, Frankie? Because a lot of people that lose their job in the Championship, they don't normally go up to the Premier League, so it's normally they've lost their jobs, isn't it? And so a lot of clubs are in a similar position, isn't it, where it's on the face of it, yeah, with Neil Harris has left this seat in December, and obviously Alex Neil's come in, but it also highlights every other club's in that same position almost, because they always change their managers division, don't they?
Yeah, 100%, mate. I think we looked at this before, and it's silly, like 14 or 16 clubs in the Championship changed the manager this year, and some of them twice. So what is surprising, if you look at the top half, Leeds haven't, Burnley haven't, Sheffield United haven't, Sunderland haven't, Bristol City haven't, Coventry did, Boro didn't, West Brom have for different reasons because of a manager going to do something well. Watford stable, Norwich stable. So actually, the top half of the table hasn't had a lot of change. We are probably the outlier in that sense, us and Coventry. So we have done something right. Ultimately, well, we can't ignore the fact that we weren't in an awful position when Harris left. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like it was
Are you saying Harris left the club in a good position after coming in as the manager last season?
I was trying to set you up, mate. I thought I'd tee you up then to smash him out of the park. And to be fair, didn't miss an opportunity.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, mate. I mean, just a few more comments here. It tastes like promotion from Sammy Feezy. Hopefully, Burnley will be up by the time we play them. Might make it easier. That's true, Peter. But also, they'll be lifting the trophy if it's to win the league. And there's all sorts of connotations that's come with this. It's yeah, I think Burnley's running, which is why I had them finishing, I think, second in my division. It looks quite favourable. I think they've got a few teams to play lower down the table as such. I can't remember the fixtures on top of my head, but Chaos Luke here says Norwich can still mathematically make the playoffs. They're currently playing against Burnley, so maybe it won't be after today's game. If we miss out on the playoffs, it'll be the Watford home game, Bristol away game, Cardiff home and away, and Plymouth away. That stops us getting there. Absolutely, Andrew. It's a season, isn't it? And it's a marathon, so to speak. This is something Mickey keeps saying, Daily Mill, and the fact he keeps telling me this, imagine Leeds third and Millwall sixth. Look, I mean, if it's going to be like that, well, if we make the playoffs, it probably might be Leeds. You know what I mean? I've got Leeds to win the league, so I don't see that happening. But it would be something, wouldn't it, Frankie?
in this hypothetical situation, how many times do you think we would see the Jimmy Abdou video in that week ahead of that fixture?
Mm.
You would see that about 45 times a day. The club will be tweeting that absolutely fucking everywhere.
And then also Leeds, I can imagine their fans already. And just to bring everyone up to date, it is 1-0 to Burnley, so Norwich's playoffs hopes are done. That's what I'm going to say now. Yes, we can from Leslie Goddard. No, but we have to keep on going from Mark Murphy. Billy Pork, I don't recognise your name, so thanks for commenting. Must be a new commentator. I really don't think there's any point in worrying about the playoffs. This season, like the last, has been inconsistent and often terrible. We need pre-season badly to push on next year. I wouldn't say we're worried about it, to be fair, Billy, but you can't ignore the fact we're still there, lingered around it. It's something exciting to make the season a bit more enjoyable, to be honest, because I thought after the Sunderland game and watching that game play out, I was like, well, that's it then. And I was kind of like, get the youth in, start to play AJ Matthews, see what he's capable of and all this stuff. But yeah, I mean, look, realistically speaking, I'm not saying we're going to make the playoffs. I've even showed you my predictions, but I do understand where you're coming from. Obviously, next season is probably the main aim and giving Alex Neil pre-season in charge. But yeah, time will tell. We always thrive when underdogs. Let's see what happens from Dan Briggs. Losing big players as well to death, when worse than death, playing for Palace. It's true. It's been up and down season, Daily Millwall. Let's not forget. So you're right to point out. It's also we've not really had the stable environment, have we? Even off the pitch, Frankie. It's just up and down for us at the minute, isn't it?
No, not at all, mate. It's been 2 years, isn't it? And it's been I don't know about you personally. At times, I found the last 2 years quite draining. You know, if we get to the point, you think, "Fuck, I could do this season finishing," and then the club just reels you back in, and suddenly we've got a promotion hunter. And as to the point earlier, right? It's unlikely.
Yeah.
But if you can't dream in these situations, what is the point? What is the point of being a football fan if you can't enjoy it when you have this opportunity of succeeding? So get behind it.
I think I'm still a bit scarred from the Blackburn at home game, if I'm totally honest. I mean, just to bring that front one into the mix and let everyone relive that for a split second. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we get sixth, then the FA give us a points deduction from Chris Brown. David Stevenson, thanks so much for your comment. After 69 years of supporting the Lions, my heart won't take another playoff final. Listen, let's hope if we do get there, firstly, hopefully your heart's all right. If we do get through to the playoff final, I mean, if we imagine we get to the playoff final, it'd probably be Coventry or Bristol City in a hypothetical world, I'd say.
Mhm.
You'd fact on a one-off game at Wembley, you never know. A bigger pitch. Whenever I think of these games and stuff, it's like I just think we get popped off the park against these sort of sides. I'm realistic with it, really, mate. But I don't know. Who knows? One game, right?
90 minutes, isn't it? It's whoever responds well to the atmosphere, whoever prepares better. You do think like how much of it. I'm not saying silly, but we haven't got like a silly journey. I always think might do us a bit of favour at Wembley. So any small margin, right?
Yeah. All playoff games are night games, by the way. And yeah, Burnley 1-0, as Carl said, and 57 years supporting the wall from Steve. I'm a fair way behind, boys, but I'll be there one day, no doubts whatsoever. If the club's not gone into some different phase or something, but that's a whole conversation for another day too. Yeah, so in roundup, realistically speaking, are we going to do it? No, but is it great to have that kind of hope and expectation, or hope and a kind of ambition? Of course it is, and we'll have to see. Sammy and sums up here saying next season is our year, 100%. Not in the middle of the way we do though, Sammy. You just don't know what's around the corner, do you, Frankie? That's the problem with this club.
We could just as easily finish 6th next year as we could 16th. And again, that is the championship. You could say that for so many teams, can't you?
Yeah,
not just us.
Yeah, it's true. Right, we'll probably come back on to talking about maybe making the playoffs again because we inevitably will do so. But there is also a bit of a debate to be had here of the player of the season and who we think will be voted as the fans' player of the season. Now, everywhere I go to and talk to different people, I get different answers, different predictions, different votes. Let's obviously that's the main point. Let's talk about the player of the season race, Frankie. It's neck and neck, I feel like, between Tanganga and Norre. We ran a poll on Twitter and I will show the results. The reason why I think it's neck and neck is because this poll, which is not a bad case sample, 508 votes, it has it just tipped to the Norre. So, I mean, like I said, it feels like a two-horse race for the player of the season. I put who gets your vote, Tanganga or the Norre. Cast your vote and tell us why in the replies. So I'll read a few of them out in a short while. And obviously, if you guys want to please interject with who you think is going to win the player of the season, I will just quickly comment in there. But Frankie, I'll come to you, mate, and you can have a little ramble whilst I do a few bits. who's your vote for the player of the season and why, mate?
I surprised myself with this because I think Tanganga's been incredible all season, but maybe a little bit of recency bias in here. I'm not going to lie, but I thought Norre at times has been absolutely outstanding, and the reason I'm edging Norre, and do you know what? I'll be happy with either. You couldn't really make anyone you can make an argument, you'd be happy with it, right? But I think the reason I went with Norre ultimately for me was I think in the system we play and how we set up, I think centre back's probably an easier position as centre mid. We're set up defensively. A lot of games in front of you naturally. He's had a stable centre back partner next to him, and I think it's been slightly easier for Tanganga than it has for Norre. I think Norre, that centre midfield job has been pretty tough. You then factor in people like Billy Mitchell coming in, Saville coming in at times, Honeyman coming in at times. He has not really had a stable partner in there all season.
Mm-hmm.
So for him to be so consistent, which he has been, can't really argue. And I was looking at a couple of stats just to try and bring it to life and see what I'm seeing. Most amount of interceptions in the Championship, no one's got more. For Millwall, he's got the most amount of completed passes and stuff. And I know he all hates stats. I think it's all largely like bollocks, but he is the one that gets us moving, right? And if you took him outside, I think we would potentially miss him more right now than we do Tanganga, which I find mental to say myself, but that's why I'm going to go. I'm going to go with Norre, mate. What about you?
For my vote, Mill fans, I think historically we've always loved defenders or goalkeepers. You look really through the player of the seasons. In fact, I probably will bring the list up in a short while just to kind of prove that point. But obviously, in recent years, I'll bring this up very quickly. But my vote goes to Tanganga. Let me get this out. I should have been prepared for it, but I'm not. But the reason why I've gone for Tanganga is because I think he's been so crucial to the defence being where it is. Let's be honest, right? Was it less than 45 goals conceded this season? I haven't got the stats in front of me, but I know
12 clean sheets, I think, something like that. Yeah.
12 clean sheets. I think the thing with the Norre is it is close, and I've really struggled to choose between two in recent weeks, to be fair. But for me, Tanganga's importance, it's obviously Tuesday night, Crabbers came into the side and put in a blind performance. But let's not forget the start of the season when you conceded 3 against Watford at home, conceded 4 away to Bristol City. Then Tanganga came in. I think we went on a run of conceding 7 in like 12 games at the start of the season. Yeah. We went to Hull. I think we grabbed out a 0-0 draw away from home. It was a shit game. I remember travelling up there, but it was a good day out. It's Hull away. It's a rogue place to go to nonetheless. But I think for me, I understand completely the Norre praise and why that people are voting for him. But I think it's just like it coincides with. I tend to find with these votes, it is a bit of recency bias in my head. I feel like, but I do understand the points made by you just there and what everyone's throwing back at me in the group chats that I've been in this week. So I've asked the question, I put it on Twitter, and I've been on the group chats asking. And I think everyone's kind of thought, De Norre's obviously kicked on this season, and I for one, am very happy to see that. I think when he first came in, I'm not going to say I wasn't sure, but I was sitting on the fence about him a bit, to be fair. And at times I've got criticism for it and what people are saying about it. And, I think for me, it was his off-the-ball work wasn't that great, I thought, last season, personally. This season, as you mentioned,
didn't it? At times, yeah.
Yeah, and exactly. But that's also because he's come from, from European football into the Championship, which is heavy metal football, as people like to say in the past. And the game is very different over it, and sometimes as fans you don't realise that. But I think what my thing with Norre was I always thought he was a decent player, but everyone was putting him on this pedestal last season that I didn't think he deserved. He deserves it this season. This season, I absolutely, completely agree. He's been one of our best players along with Tanganga. But last season, I just thought the hype, especially when Edwards was in charge and all this stuff, like I thought he's a good player, but he's not better than the rest that we're losing every week with. Like that was my logic behind him. I thought his place in the side was warranted, but this season he's been a mainstay. I think he's obviously tripled his goal tally this season. He's got 3 goals. He's scored important goals. Swansea away, done it again. 2-0 to Burnley, by the way. They're on a roll. But, he's obviously scored crucial last-minute goals. He's popped up at the right places. He's, even on Tuesday night, he's assist for Coburn, who obviously Coburn done the rest and done the work. I totally get it. But for me, coming back to Tanganga, I just think his importance in that defence across the back 4, steadying it, marshalling it, bringing the better out of Jake Cooper, organising the team, and also just being there. Like the criticism I'm getting for people about Tanganga is his performances have dropped off of late. But I'd argue he's gone from a 9 out of 10, where the bar
Setting
is
around
actually,
Saudi, didn't he? Yeah.
it's down to a 7 out of 10, which is still very, very good at this level. Like, he's still been consistently quite good. And I think he had 1 or 2 dodgy games, maybe the Plymouth game you could look back to. I think also the game Preston, where he failed to clear it, and then Emil Rees has struck it from range and it's gone past Jensen. I take the points. He has had a couple of shaky games, but the Norre's not been brilliant every single game either. So it's not like it's. But for me, it's just I think the defence has been one of the key reasons why we're still in this position come the end of the season. And for me, that's why I've gone for Tanganga. But yeah, as I was just going to bring the list up of previous player of the season winners.
Just to chip in before you do that, just to sort of back you up a little bit, I guess. You do think how much of it comes down to moments as well.
Yeah.
And one of the best moments of the season will undoubtedly be that home game against Leeds. When Tanganga's put him a volley from the edge of the area. People remember that sort of thing, so maybe that gives me a bit of an edge, who knows?
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. I haven't found this list yet, to be honest. So I'm going to go to the chat and we'll come back in a short while. So, guys, who is your player of the season? I've not even read the chat yet, so we're going to go through it and catch up with you guys have put and read some of them out. I ain't voted yet. Closes on Monday from Daily Millwall. Is that because you're on the fence then, Daily Millwall? You're really not sure. Player of the season is the Norre from David Stevenson, the best midfielder we've had in many years. I can't go against it, to be honest. You can see where we are in the league and stuff, and the championship is its own beast. Do you know what I mean? So, the Norre from Peter Sullivan, sorry. Casper or Tanganga are class, says Carl. The Norre from Chris Brown. Tango from Andrew Roberts. The Norre from John Parr. Mark Murphy says, I would say the Norre. We were willing to pay up to 3 million for Tanganga and he would have been worth it, but he needs to perform so much better than everyone else. The Norre has been a revelation for me. Jensen maybe from Sammy Feezy. I think we'll come on to maybe a conversation in a short while of who we think might finish third place in the player of the season, because I think that's also a hot debate really, and all different things there. Sixth best defence in the league, says Daily Millwall. Do you think the Serb will stay? Steve says. We can come back to that in a short while. Cramer's brilliant, says Sammy. The Norre for me should be tried in 10. A football brain is unreal, says Diggs. The Norre has played a lot better under Alex Neil. Under Gary Rowett and Neil Harris, the Norre often went missing in a lot of games. Billy Porter, yeah, I understand that. I think it's maybe just because the setup of the side, maybe as well. It probably caters to it a bit more. Tanganga is good for us, but no Prem club will come in for him. He makes too many mistakes for a top tier club to rely on him. Mistakes are big no in the Prem. I mean, he's made a couple mistakes. I don't think he's made too many mistakes. I think the doubt over him is more his injury history more than anything, I feel like, which is why I was lucky to get him in the first place, because lingered on last summer, didn't it, with the signing of him, and he didn't join until July. And yeah, I mean, that's obviously what I think on that part, but I understand your comment there, Billy. Player of the season, Tanganga. Young player of the season, Ivanovic. And I think that's pretty much it, unless I'm seeing anything. Seems like Tango has an issue with Jensen. I do agree with you on that one. I did actually mention it last week. Then he got injured. So you couldn't see it play out, but he doesn't like playing it back to him. Last 3 or 4 games, Joe Bryan has been our best player. So we'll come on to that probably in a short while as well. Tango, player of the season. The big fucking Serb, young player of the season. I think Jensen deserves massive praise considering it's his debut. Should we just come on to Jensen quickly there, I suppose, Frankie? Because that's probably not a bad conversation to come on to next. So I think obviously we're quite split there and highlighted obviously the top 2. The conversation then comes to who will be third in the player of the season voting. Jensen himself, obviously, great game Tuesday night, mate. And as Ball 3 Die 3 says there, he deserves massive praise considering it's his debut season in the Championship and the amount of games he's played really and just been relatively consistent, you could say.
He's had his moments, and to be fair, it's not all been smooth sailing for him. But I think where I will give him credit is we probably will have moments, right, where you're thinking, could he lose his shirt? Should Roberts be going in? He's responded, and he's stuck at it, and he seems a much better player now than he did 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks ago. So you've got to respect that, really, yeah. And I think he'll be a much better player next year for it. Do I think he's in Player of the Year contention? I don't think any keeper ever is, to be honest with you. But
David Ford won it 1 year, mate.
Yeah, true, but it's rare. I didn't Jordan Archer went in 1 year as well.
I bloody don't think so. He might have done. Yeah, I think you're right, actually. The year we went up, maybe.
So I'm talking shit, mate. I've argued against myself here. Why not? Let him have it.
Daily Mill will tell us if Jordan Archer's won the player of the season. I've got faith in Daily Mill to work that one out for us. But yeah, you're right. The keepers don't typically win it, but Mill, once we get a good keeper, Millwall fans appreciate him. You know, like it's a very hard position to be a goalie at Millwall. I find you've got to have that thick skin and them shoulders out, and which is something I've found Jensen hasn't. He didn't do it at the start of the season, but I feel like he's adjusting to Millwall. And God rest his soul, Sarkic was exactly the same last season. And look how he finished the season. Obviously, his last game making the penalty save, a clean sheet away at Swansea. I think we've got to remember sometimes these are young in relative ages for goalkeepers, albeit he's 25, 26 years old, Jensen. There's still a long way to go, and his maturity in the game. I think I mentioned obviously previously, and I'll say it again now, why not? But obviously, I went to the Goldie night, and Marshall said he played, half the amount of games as Liam Roberts has in his career. He's obviously had that run of games at Lincoln last year. Fans played the season there, best goal in League One. It's a transition for him, but he's learning on the job, and we have to be patient with him, don't we? I suppose.
100%, mate. 100%, and I think it's easy to forget. Like his debut would become the most difficult circumstances for a player to come into that dressing room. It would have been, he'd have been wrapped with guilt. It'd been really uncertain times. It'd been hard for him to put his stamp on the side because of what happened with, with Matty's situation. So. Yeah, I'm sympathetic for him, and I think he started terribly in the first couple of games, but he has grown. He has improved. Been a couple of important saves along the way, and he seems more confident in himself now.
Yeah, for
Still
sure.
needs to get that coming out of crosses, but he's getting there.
No, for sure. Kenneth, your comment is a bit off topic. You're right, but I've started it, mate, and we'll come back to it when we talk about the game tomorrow, which we'll come on to after this topic. Chris Brown says second Tango, third Jensen. Jensen, Tango, and RBW from Sammy Feezy. Remember Leonard's start of the season, he could have finished it in the same form. It's true, he was quite good at the start of the year, wasn't he? Kasper, Tanganga, and Ivanovic. Bangor Williams as Young Player of the Year from All Lion. Jensen or Ivanovic for third place from Peter Sullivan. Loads of player seasons going backwards. Leonard, Fleming, see, I can always count on you here, Danny Hall, Murray, Bart, Gregory, Hutch, Morrow, Archer, Jimmy, Fordy, Shitu, Jimmy, and Mkandawiri. It's not often a striker wins it, is it?
There's more than I thought there was, to be fair. I don't remember Gregory winning it.
He won it the year he left us, because it was kind of a written he was going to be going. I remember Gregory winning it that year. The year we struggled, was it 17, 18? Oh, no, it was the year after we got promoted, so 18, 19. And we was playing the orange kit. Leonard just signed, Bradshaw signed and got injured. That season, Gregory played up front on his own most of the season. I remember his performance, like even the Everton game we had that year where he's playing up front, he's putting in the hard yards and stuff. And it was the best out of a relatively bad bunch, I suppose you could say, that year, to be honest. It was a struggling season. But I also think part of it, because we knew he was leaving, I think fans kind of thought, vote for him, obviously for his hard work, his commitment and stuff.
Didn't help Jed, though, did it?
No.
I know it was like that.
Yeah. Interestingly, Jed Wallace never actually got voted for player of the season, but I think one year in particular, I thought it might have been the COVID season that I thought he should have won it, to be honest. But it just proves this. We appreciate our Millwall defenders. That's the fact you take from it. I even remember going years back. I think Darren Ward won it 3 years in a row. I'm pretty sure. You know what I mean? Like, it's stuff like that. We've always appreciated defenders notoriously at Millwall, and I think obviously that point goes to be shown there. I think you've got some stats for someone that maybe could, should they be third place on the player of the season vote? I mean, when you listen to these stats, guys, I feel like they will be. So, Frankie, take it away, mate.
Yeah, we're gonna obviously give you a name after, but I mean, this player he's got the second highest overall rating according to the stats website that we took this from. Third for big chances created, best player in the side in terms of just general chances created. Second for accurate long balls, top for expected assists, third for tackles per 90, top for interceptions, fourth for clearances per 90, fourth for blocks, fourth for total minutes played. That sounds like a pretty consistent player, right? And you'd think, Jesus, he should be in for a shot. If you want to have a guess of what player that is, I'll be shocked if some of you get it. Yeah,
please do have a guess, guys. So just to recap some big stats there. They're fourth for most minutes played. Give you some big ones again, mate.
Top for chances created.
Mm-hmm.
Second for accurate long balls. He's got the most expected assists. Third for tackles. Top for interceptions per 90. Fourth for clearances. So across the board, contributing defensively and going forward as well.
Can you ping me a screenshot quickly on WhatsApp, and I'll just grab it and I'll put it on the screen as well if you like quickly. Guys, who is that? He's all the metrics based on stats. Not football's played on stats, but across all the metrics there, who is the player in question? Give your predictions in there, and I'll probably get Mickey to make some sort of prize up for you guys if maybe I'll select some people at random. But we've got second highest overall rating, third for big chances created. I'll just screenshot this very quickly. Top for chances created, as mentioned, is second accurate for long passes, top expected assists, third for tackles per 90. Who's the player? I'm going to just chuck it on the screen very quickly. Won't give me a second. And why is he not in the conversation? Because his name doesn't come up often. Who is the player, guys, in question, do we think? And here are the stats. So, yeah, there's the source, FootMob. And third for tackles per 90, top interceptions per 90, fourth clearances per 90, fourth blocks per 90, and also fourth for total minutes played, third for outfield players. Who's the player? Who's the player, guys? So we'll get some predictions in. We've got probably Brian from Chris Brown. We've got Leonard from Kenneth. We've got Honeyman from Leslie. Cooper from Andrew Roberts. We've got Saville from Daily Millwall. Honeyman. Jake Cooper. We've also got George Honeyman, Aziz, Saville, Brian. So whoever said Brian, I'm going to call it there. Frankie, it is Joe Bryan, isn't it?
It is, mate. It is. And I think the reason we're calling it outright is because he's probably been a player that's had a lot of stick this season. And I think fairly at times, like he's... What stat that doesn't have there is own goals. He decides to lead on that. He must be leading the league for that. Jesus Christ! But it's been a bit of a surprise to see some of the numbers behind it. And he's had a fantastic second half of the season. Is he in deserve? He ain't going to win it, but is he a shout for potential third? I think so.
So there you go, guys. Question posed to you from me and Frankie. Joe Bryan, does he get enough praise? I mean, why was he... to be honest with you, I think in recent weeks, you're right. He's kicked on quite a bit. I think I've also started a comment here from David Stevenson, who actually said this before we even throw the stats on the screen and start talking about it. Bryan should be in a shout because of his latest performances, David says. And absolutely right and spot on there from David. It's true. Like, I think with him... It's more. I've got to be careful how I word this, but I think it's just because, like, you look at Joe Bryan and the way, the manners and how he plays, and the fact that he's quite open about football just almost being a job. I'm maybe taking it out of context a bit there, but he's also spoke about things in the media in the past, and he obviously had a poor season last year. Was injured for a lot of it as well, didn't he, Frankie? Which is a really big part of that, I think.
Yeah.
But you're right. Since Alex Neil's come in, you could probably say him and Norre in particular have probably been our best players, haven't they, really? I mean, but for Bryan in particular, it's just he's gone about his business very quietly of late. And I think that's probably one of the best praise you could say to him. Even at home games, though, you hear it all the time, for fuck's sake, Bryan. It's like he's the new for fuck's sake Braniff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It used to be, for fuck's sake, Braniff. And that was because Kevin Braniff was Kevin Braniff. He was nowhere near the player as Joe Bryan is. But I think also it highlights with Bryan, like, he's 31?
Yeah.
He's out of contract in the summer. He's making good noises about how he likes his football in a minute, playing under Alex Neil. He probably should and could be third place in the player season, is what we're trying to say, ain't we?
100%, mate. I think it's always been a tricky time for him, right? He doesn't look and feel like a Millwall player. I know we talk about it a lot, and we kind of hate the old Millwall player cliches and stuff, but he doesn't feel like a Millwall player. He's we all say piss at him because of lattes and stuff. He's not exactly someone that you regard as a cult legend down the den. And I think there's been a couple of comments in the chat about he really struggled. And where he used to frustrate me is there'd be so many games where I think, he's been all right, actually. And then suddenly score an own goal. Or switch off and lose his man. And then you 1-0 down, you think, fucking hell, like, it's always him who'd always seem like he was involved in the errors. But he's turned it around, and whatever spurred that, whether that's wanting a new contract, whether that's Alex Neil getting the best out of him, finding his feet, bit of form, fitness, who knows?
Yeah,
but
sure.
It's working, right?
Yeah, Richard also says here Lenny's so solid as well. I think the return of Leonard's as well, Tuesday obviously highlighted that massively, but the pair of them both at left back and right back seem to be just playing really consistently well, don't they? And experienced, they're just there to marshal the defence. It gave the opportunity for the likes of Honeyman and Cundall to tuck in a bit more. And I think with Brian, it's true because Chris Brown's comment here, Brian was total dog shit up until January. So stats do lie. I was one of them thinking that as well, to be honest, Chris, at the
Yeah,
time.
me too, mate.
At the start of the season, and you're right, Frankie. Like the amount of times he got caught, it felt like out of position, but also he's instructed to bomb on as a left back, isn't he, and get forward. And at times he'd have the likes of Honeyman in front of him, or players that are not a natural winger that like to cut in. So you need naturally Brian to bomb on, don't you? But
Yeah.
I've used the recency bias thing with the North, so I've got to use it here for Brian. The context of the whole season is probably why he's not in the shout for the third place. But the stats, nonetheless, though, not that football is a game. It's played on the grass and there's the eye test, but the metrics he's pulling up though, they can't be sniffed at, can they? Is what we're trying to say.
No, 100%, mate. And I think there is definitely recency bias and he's in it. And I don't think he's in the shout for top 2 by any stretch. The reason I think he could potentially maybe nick third if there was a prize for third place. Who else would you put in there? No one else has been that consistent all season. Ivanovic had a lot of goals, but struggled first half of the season. Coburn, no. Mitchell, no. Aziz hasn't put the numbers up. Leonard, the injury, and looked tired before the injury.
What about
Who
this
else?
chap? Cooper. So if Damiel says Cooper will get third, all the birds will vote for him. Is that the eye candy that the birds enjoy nowadays at Millwall? I don't know. I think it's probably more Leonard and Brian, probably. Not that I don't know. I know actually from being speaking to some women at football, that's what Leonard and Brian.
Carry on, mate. Tell us your type. Keep going.
Well, no, that's all right. I'm good. I don't want to stay there. But Cooper in particular, I think we've spoken about his appearance record of late, and obviously I think he's 7th in the all-time appearance charts. But he's also been the fact like he's been relatively consistent and quiet about going about his business as well, hasn't he, Cooper? It's been workmanlike, is what I'm trying to say. I think from him, and he's been ever present as always. Obviously had a bit of an injury, didn't he? I think at one point of the season, but he's always there.
We
Cooper.
missed him.
We did, didn't we?
Would Harris have gone if Cooper had never got that injury and in such an important part of the season for us? Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Cooper for me is one of them players where I think we've all got one. I maybe take him a little bit for granted, and he'll make a mistake. And I always think to myself, "Fucking hell, this has got to be his last year. We've got to start phasing him out." And I probably don't appreciate actually he's a quality operator at his level.
Yeah,
and he's been so consistent, and we would really miss him, and we do miss him when he's not there. So yeah, it's a bit of a funny one, Cooper, for me, because I do underrate him, and I know I do.
Yeah, I always tarnish him with the brush of he's only playing in the Championship because he plays for a club like us who don't play from the back, which is I still stick by to some extent, but I know his limitation. But if you give Jake Cooper the task of sitting on the 18-yard line and heading the ball away, being in the way, putting blocks in, dominating the forwards, especially aerially, like that's Cooper. That is Jake Cooper. So if you play to his strengths, he's a very good player at this level. And if you ask him to play out and play left side centre back or back three, just turn away when he's got the ball. So that's and that's not. I just think you watch him turn sometimes. It's like a double decker bus, just trying to try and play around. But I actually do think this season, alongside Tanganga, his ball play is a lot better. I feel like he has actually improved it this year. I do feel I can see some sort of improvement there. But yeah, I think it's an interesting one. So who's your third choice? So there is normally a top three. So who gets third for you in the player season vote?
What do you reckon, mate? Come back to me.
It's a hard one.
I'll get on the fence, I think.
I think I've made an argument for Jensen at one point this week, which was a bit rogue for me. Then I made an argument for maybe everyone saying the Serb, and I'm like, yeah, I can see that. I think the Serb for me, maybe young player of the season, because I don't see Bangor Williams getting it. Well, he might do because he's coming late to the fold, but also he's older than Ivanovic, Bangor Williams. Do you know what I mean?
I'm not sure if he's actually in the voting or not, but if he is, I mean, SA would have been well up there. Something happened around January. I don't think he's in contention anymore, but yeah.
We'll get him out on the pitch when they do the presentations in his Palace kit.
Yeah, Roberts gets PTSD, yeah. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna opt for Jake Cooper for my third place. I think he's been Jake Cooper, and that's what we asked him to do. I'm gonna opt for Jake Cooper in my third place. Go on, Frankie, give me one. I'm gonna put you on the pot.
I think I'm gonna go with Ivanovic, someone we've not mentioned. I'm gonna go with Ivanovic because his goals catalogue has been ridiculous. He's given us so many moments.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. I like it. He has given a lot of moments this year. He's won us points as well. Do you know what I mean? Like he's obviously scored crucial goals in crucial games. He's still young, I think maybe a question here. Actually, I started a little earlier. I didn't actually star it, but I might have removed it by mistake. But it was the question: will Ivanovic leave? Can we keep Ivanovic? I think he's on the path of development. It wouldn't surprise me if the club tried to give him another contract in the summer to maybe just secure his value.
Mhm.
But I think I foresee it playing out as hopefully he goes again next season, maybe gets into double digits quite comfortably, scores goals, and then if we're not in a position to keep hold of him, I imagine next season is probably the year he's going to really develop and make his name, I feel like, Frankie, to the footballing world. Would you reckon?
Yeah, John, I asked the same question during the week, didn't I? And I think there is a danger there that striker is such a premium goal so hard to come by that someone bigger, high up the food chain, so to speak, will come and have a sniff. I agree with you. I think the club needs to have a serious thought to, just give him an extra year, renew it. If you have to increase his wage a little bit, so be it. Just protect his value. Do I think he'll go this year? No. I ultimately think throughout the course of the season, he's probably hasn't done enough to attract the calibre of side that would have the money to come and get him, to be completely honest.
Yeah, I mean, I said it.
What's he worth? How much would you want for him?
This is it. I said it in February after we just lost SA, and I think with the Portsmouth away game, he just had a little run of scoring goals, and I was like, "This is his Steve Morrison arc." I kind of joked when Morrison had the first season in the Championship with us, and off he went. And then it was always going to go in the summer, especially with Norwich interested in him. We just got promoted and stuff. I think with the Serb, like that's the fear, like especially being this setting club. I hate labeling this as that, but we are saying openly as a club that bring players in, and that's the model. We signed this probably £3 million. Like, I don't know what the exact figures work out to be, but probably over the course of the fee, if you see that always performance bonuses, somewhere in the region of £2.5 to £3 million, right?
Mm-hmm.
If he finishes the season with double digits, which I think he needs one more to do that, and if he scores every game between now and the season, there will be clubs interested in him because clubs will want to try and stockpile these players to try and make their own model of buying these players for young and selling them, right? But that's the fear. So then you put a value on him, don't you? What is that money? How much is he going to be worth to the club and stuff like that? It's a tricky one. I think it is. It's because that's the only conclusion I've got to give and advice for everyone is don't get too attached to our players because if they're scoring goals for fun, if Ivanovic finishes the season on 14 goals. There will be clubs interested in the summer, but as you've rightly pointed out, Frankie, is that going to be the right value? And that's the hard part, isn't it?
Mate, if he gets 14 goals, we're getting playoffs. We're going up, and he's staying. So let's not worry about that.
Well, yeah. I mean, he could have had 10 if he scored on Tuesday night, but yeah, we'll move on from that one.
What about that? Let's go.
Yeah. Just on Brian, just to wrap up anyway, Brian has always been a good player, had a couple of bad games and it affected him. I think the governor had a word in his ear and it done him the world of good from Kenneth. Ivanovic for Young Player of the Year from Chris Brown. Brian Cooper, Tango Lenny, can we leave Crammer on the bench? We'll come on to that in a short while. Is Tango even available tomorrow? I've not actually seen much on the media side, but we'll come on to the game tomorrow in a short while. We're actually due to come on to that next. Cooper can't tackle, save his life from Chris Brown. I think Cooper is an amazing defender, says Carl. So there you go. The chalk and cheese of footballing fan opinions is somewhere in the middle. Cooper is so slow now, says Steve. I do understand that, and I don't know what will come up from that. Lewis says 1 Tango, 2 big fucking Serbian, 3 Casper de Norre. Wow. That's going to ruffle some feathers with the North fan clubs. Stephen Jeffrey says Casper de Norre, Tango, and BFS for the top 3. I think that's, I think Tango, but yeah, we'll move on from that. I think he's had a 3-year deal, probably in reference to the Serb. Yeah. But then I suppose he's most valuable now, if hypothetically, which I don't see happening, because I don't see him doing a standoff, because we're giving him the opportunity to play. And I think in this environment now, I think probably thinking, let's see if we can get more. Anyway, I've just Mickey's asked to check my WhatsApp, but I'll come back to that later. But yeah, I think if we probably hold that for more is probably where his ceiling goes, isn't it? So if Ivanovic had a release clause amount at the start of the season, that needs to be renegotiated higher this season with an improved deal, for sure.
I'll be surprised if it did, to be honest with you. Coming from where he come from,
complete unknown.
That.
Yeah, for sure. Ivanovic is still going to be an important player this season if we want to get a chance at the playoffs, was Kenneth. That's proven your point there, Frankie. I think he'll be here for a couple more seasons to develop. I totally agree. 20 years old, 9 goals in all competitions. Pundits started to talk about him next season. He could be a real threat. Definitely. Yeah, and yeah, Common One and Wall, press the like button. Only a few have so far. Mickey wants to get involved. He's away on a trip this weekend, bless him. But yeah, guys, if you've enjoyed the show so far today, that first 50 minutes has absolutely flown by. It's fair to say, I think, Frankie. Be sure to like the video. I appreciate all the interaction in the comments from everyone so far. We are going to move on to tomorrow's game and our expectations and hopes. So let's dive into tomorrow's match against Middlesbrough. What are we expecting from the game? Key players to watch, potential lineups, and how can we exploit their weaknesses? Frankie, what is your hopes tomorrow, and what do we know about Middlesbrough that you can maybe share with us? I know I've put you on the spot there a little bit, but tell me, what are you expecting tomorrow, mate?
They're a bit of a funny old side, Boro, aren't they? They're very much one of your typical possession-based football sides. They want to knock the ball back. Can be a bit boring at times. I'm going to say it now. But what they have got, particularly up top, is incredible pace. And you look at the likes of Morgan Whittaker, they spent big money on in January. Hasn't really hit the heights for them, but always dangerous. And they're going to be a tough side to beat. They always are, aren't they? They're always organised, and Carrick's a good manager. That being said, I think I looked at it earlier on today, and our record in April, particularly at home, is absolutely outstanding. It seems like we always seem to have this stage of the season, particularly last year. So hopefully that continues, and another big afternoon at Den. It'll be rocking, won't it? It'll be a big atmosphere. They bought quite a few. I think they're nearing on 3,000, didn't they? So
To Boro?
I think they've already sold 250. 2,500. And they've got another couple of hundred that they could sell on the day tomorrow. So it's a big turn out for them. Yeah,
it's not bad going at all, is it, for them? I mean, I've looked at their recent form. Obviously, we're playing them tomorrow, so it's good to look at their recent form. They lost midweek to Leeds, but aside from that, it reads pretty well for them, to be honest. The last 5 games have 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 defeat. That 1 defeat was the most recent game, and that was obviously against Leeds at home the other night. So they beat QPR 2-1. They drew 0-0 away at Kenilworth Road, and then they beat Oxford 2-1 and Blackburn away 2-0. Now, their away form, they're like us. They've picked up 25 points. We picked up 26 this season away from home. So you think our away form's decent, Borough's ain't too shabby either. So they've scored 32 on the road in 20 games and 28 goals conceded, whereas we've only scored 18 on the road as in comparison, but we're still somehow in the top 6 for away form. Been a good season away from home for sure, nonetheless. But yeah, I mean, there's obviously questions around our team, isn't there? The most important one, which I started earlier from Kenneth, with Coburn not able to play this week, will we still play 2 up front with Langstaff coming in to partner the Serb? Frankie, what's your thoughts, mate?
No. That's it. I've answered your question. I can see why he might be tempted, and I think it's a good question to ask. I think the reason he won't is I'm not sure going with more of a traditional big man, little man compared to that big, imposing to traditional number 9 sort of approach. I'm not sure that would work in quite the same fashion. I'm not sure Langstaff's ready to play 90 minutes. I'm not sure he'll be able to have an impact in this game. You know, there is still question marks. Is he cut out for this level? Ultimately, which is a bit of a shame. But so, yeah, I think for all them reasons, I'll be surprised to see him start. I think you'll get minutes, but difficult start.
I'd love to see him get the opportunity, but I kind of edge review just a bit. Again, uncertainty. He's not started a game yet since he's returned from injury. He's played minutes for the 21s. He's featured in that kind of environment, and he's obviously come off the bench in a few games. I'm edging more towards the Marku coming into the side, but I'm also thinking keep to a 4-4-2. I like the idea of having 2 up top to aim for and try and hit them on the break. Let's assume Boro are going to come to town, Michael Carrick in charge, how we've known they've played against us in recent years. I edge towards them being more ball dominant, trying to retain possession, keep hold of the ball. Can they commit players' bodies forward? Potentially. Is there a world where the Ivanovic then knocks it onto a Marku who runs them through on goal? There you go. I foresee one of the goals that I'm predicting for tomorrow's game. I don't know yet if we're going to win it or not. I will come on to predictions probably towards the end. But yeah, I mean, I personally see someone like Maki coming in. A lot of people say we probably go back to 4-2-3-1, Frankie. I mean, do you think we then move away from the 2 up top tomorrow? Is that the way you'd go with it as well?
Yeah, I think we'll have to, mate. I don't think we've got... I think if you look at the bench we had the other day, I'm not too sure if anyone's going to be back. I don't know if you've heard anything, but...
No, I mean, Begor Williams, I think, picked up a knock for England, and that was what it was coined as, and the same with Connolly, like impact knock. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them both in the squad tomorrow. Whether they come straight back in, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, so I think with what we know, who we know is going to be about just looking at it now, I don't think we go with the personnel to stick with the two up top. And if again, assuming Tanganga's not back, we probably won't be able to do the five at the back either. So it's going to have to be a 4-2-3-1 by elimination, really, isn't it?
I think so. We'll have to see. Hope he sticks with two up top from Chris Brown here. We've got Swap Mac for Coburn from Daniel Clements. Wonder if Alex Neil will use a form of psychology on Boro by playing an ex-player AJ Matthews up top with a big fucking Serbian. Matthews has been scoring goals in the 21s and has been on the bench recently. That'd be a great show, wouldn't it, Frankie?
Do you know what? I'd be more up for that than Langstaff. I think I don't know if anyone's seen much of it for 21s, but I've only heard good things about some of his touch, his presence, and he seems like got a bit of a bit of swagger about it, a bit of an attitude. So he'll be he'll have a point to prove, right? So I'd actually be more keen for that, and then potentially bring Langstaff on than the other way around.
Yeah, interesting. I'd pick Langstaff and Ivan from Cole. Connolly, if back from injury, says Connor, and Ivanovic up front would be decent. Is Bangor Williams ready to go yet? If so, replace Kundal. I suspect. I think I'd like to see us keep the same shape as what we did the other night. I think it would suit us against a side, again, a similar side to how they'll play. Expect to keep a lot of the ball. They've got a lot more quality in the wide areas, though. So maybe there is an argument to have someone else out there in the wide areas. But then we're short on options in them positions. So it could be back. I think maybe we'll edge back to a 4-2-3-1 for myself, I think. But we'll have to see. That was short and sweet to the point from Frankie. And that was, I think, an answer to your Langstaff question. And what about AJ, says Diggs as well. What about AJ? Again, I haven't seen much from either on that point. But it'd be interesting to see him thrown into deep ends. It's a big ask to throw a young kid in, but it could be a gameplay that, he knows them well. He's obviously been involved with them up until January, and why not give him a shot? I mean, I personally think I'd prefer Marku to come in. I like Marku from the bench, but I do think there'll be opportunities from tomorrow where Boro likes to have a lot of the ball, and maybe we can counter attack with it and come forward with it and maybe make a difference, I suppose. So we did do the normal stats as well. I actually put them on Twitter today, guys. So if you want to have the pressing stats to read and view and have the normal kind of thing to look at through that, the stats from 5 key stats ahead of the Middlesbrough Mill versus Middlesbrough tomorrow at the Den. Mill have won both of their last 2 home games, as many as their previous 10 beforehand. So we've won 2, drawn 3, lost 5 in them 10 games previous. After their 1-0 win in December, Middlesbrough could complete their 4th league double over Millwall after 1928-29 season, 1973-74 season, and 2014-15. Millwall have lost both their last 2 league games against Middlesbrough. However, Frankie, we've never once lost 3 in a row to Middlesbrough. If you look for an omen, right? And Middlesbrough have won each of the last 5 league games against sides from London. Boro have never won 6 in a row against sides in the capital. Never won 6 in a row against sides from the capital in Football League history. And then Mill's Alex Neil has only won one of his previous 5 managerial home games against Middlesbrough in the Championship, albeit last time was his only singular win. So there you go. Nice and depressing as always from us with these stats. To be fair, I will say where we get it from. It's from the Google Insights, isn't it? I'll give it a little bit away. But it's what it does enable you to do is read into it and draw some conclusions they make if you believe in fate.
My conclusion is Google's just another form of mainstream media that absolutely hates us.
I didn't think that. I thought that today when I was. So it's always depressing stats. If you want to read them quickly, guys, I'll just chuck them on the screen again. So yeah, it's true though, isn't it? It's quite normally depressing statistics, isn't it?
There must be a side in this league that we've got a decent record against, because we finish top half every year. So how are we doing this and losing every week? That makes sense.
Don't worry, mate. I'll tell you who's coming up potentially from League One, and
they won't. They won't.
That little mob from South East London. I'd love to see him lose in the player final, please. That'd be brilliant. But that mob that are train spotters, should we say, the Anoraks. That if they come up, it can only be in our favour. Them if they find ways to conclude to that it goes in their favour instead of them stats, then well,
if they're in the Championship this year, we would be in the playoffs.
Yeah,
because them 6 points will be a difference. So
true, very very true. Google stats must be run by the FA. I mean, look, the FA charge did come out this week. To be honest with you, it's nothing new, is it, Frankie? We'll talk just very briefly. It's just it's Millwall, FA, normal sort of procedures followed there. And I don't have much else to comment on it, to be honest. You?
I've got to say, mate, I can't wait to not talk about that Palace game ever again now, to be honest with you. After a day we're also looking forward to so much, I'm sick to death of it now. I guess they didn't have much of a choice, did they? And I guess I
No,
get the club's statement after, so yeah, one of them things, right?
for sure. Exactly. Millwall and the FA never goes too well, does it? Let's be honest. But anyway, let's move on. What is your lineup for tomorrow's game, everyone? Get your comments in. Frankie, I'm going to come to you, mate. Give me your lineup and your formation for tomorrow's game, please.
I was giving it a big one a minute ago about 4-2-3-1, and I've changed my mind already. So this is why I'm not a foot manager. I've gone for Jensen in goal,
Yeah.
Lenny, Kramer, Cooper, and Brian as a back four. I've gone for a 4-man midfield, but in like a bit more of a diamond shape. So Mitchell in the base, the Norre, Honeyman, and then Kundal as well. So diamond in midfield, and then up top I've got a Maku and Ivanovic.
Oh, you've warmed to me. Yeah. The two up top, you like it?
He's sold me, yeah.
You see the logic. And I'll tell you now, guys, I will be putting a bet on a marker anytime tomorrow. A scoreline to be concluded. Question from Lewis, as we'll talk about lineups. Is Tango back, do we know? Not seen much, Lewis. I know that Alex Neil said after the game on Tuesday that he had surgery on his wrist. Will he play with a broken wrist? It seems like something he could potentially play with, but is it maybe some recovery period after a surgery? I suspect, if I was to guess, he won't be available tomorrow, but that's a complete guess. Frankie, anything would you reckon?
I haven't heard anything. I'll be surprised.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me for someone like them where if you're Tanganga, right, and you're thinking about potentially moving somewhere, would you want to risk it and potentially make it worse? I'm not saying it is what it is, but let's be practical, right? So that's how these things work.
Yeah, true. On the subject, they get a lot of attention in the comments, so everyone knows who we're talking about. Charlton. Nathan Jones is going to get the most amount of shit possible. Charlton come down to the den next year, says Billy. You're not wrong. Walleye says Marco is an impact player off the bench. AJ Matthews is scoring at a level close to National League. Yeah, I mean, that's what I mean. It's a risk, but then sometimes players need the opportunity to take the risk, and you never know. I think, personally, if it was nothing to play for, even though you can say it's still nothing to play for at the minute because it's an outside chance, I personally would, hold tight on AJ Matthews. Maybe bring him off the bench if it presents the opportunity to do so, because it'd be quite nice for him to play against his old side, I'm sure. Connor says, want Charlton to go up, 3 points for us. I don't want to see him in Championship. I just want to see him lose in the playoff final. I've got a vision in my head. I'll say it again. I just want to see him lose. I want to see Charlton tears at Wembley.
The thing is, this is a bit of a different topic now, but do you want to see Wrexham in the Championship, really?
I've never been to their grounds, so that's my logic.
I hate it, mate. All Hollywood bullshit. I can't stand it. I think
Well,
I'd actually rather Charlton. At least it's a local game.
Well, we've got Birmingham coming up, haven't we? And I've already been to Birmingham. I've been to every game around the Championship. I want a couple of new grounds. So if it's Wrexham and Stockport, I'll be quite happy with that. I think Stockport seems to be picking up form as well. So I purely on a selfish point of view. So I've got 2 new grounds to go to next season. There's my logic behind that one anyway. But yeah, away win to Charlton, last game of the season next year to send the spotters back down to League One, says Andrew. What about Uncle Wes, says Billy? I mean, he came on the other night and done a job, Billy. I suspect that will be his duty if he gets called upon again. The FA will be worried if we get the playoffs, says Christopher. You're not wrong. I'm sure they're already panicking in their headquarters, mate, nonetheless. Team prediction here from Wall Lion. Thanks for submitting that. And I've also got one from Connor underneath and Stephen Jeffrey. Thanks, guys. Got 4-4-2 Diamond. We've got Jensen, Lenny, Kramer, Coops, Brian, Honeyman, Billy, Casper, Bangor Williams coming in for Kundal on his side here, Langstaff and Ivanovic. Whereas Connor's gone Jensen, Leonard, Kramer, Cooper, Brian, Honeyman, Denor, Mitchell, Kundal, and one change up top with Langstaff coming in for Coburn, who can't play. Big miss, isn't it, Coburn, on that subject tomorrow? Because the pair of them up top seems to be striking it, obviously getting a good partnership underway. And there was a question actually that I starred. With Coburn not able to play, no, that wasn't that one. How much would Boro let Coburn go for next season? His value keeps going up the better he plays, right? And the more goals he scores. That's the trouble with a lone player, isn't it? Well, how much do you reckon Coburn's worth, chat? And Frankie, come to you, mate.
Less than he was last summer.
Mm.
Because I think Boro have kind of got their heads around the fact that he ain't going to get what they thought he was going to get from him. And ultimately, right, he's been here all season, and most Millwall fans aren't particularly convinced if he's worth the investment or not. So If you can get him for around the £1 million mark, max 1.5, bring him in. If anything more than that, I'd be a little bit reluctant personally. Don't know about yourself.
So what was the figure you said? Sorry, mate.
Max 1.5.
Interesting. I think he'd be worth more, to be honest. Again,
They'll want more, but whether you could do
yeah.
it with installments and stuff, who knows?
If it was us and it was the Serb, and well, that's no. If it's us anyway in a position, I think we'd want more, wouldn't we? You're right. They'd want more. We're not going to win to go that high. But will a club take a chance on him? Like Wrexham will come up from from League One potentially, or Birmingham. It'd be a bidding war, wouldn't it, or something? That's what you'd be hoping for if you're Middlesbrough. Because if it seems Michael Carrick doesn't fancy Josh Coburn, firstly, he wants someone that's probably a bit more all rounder, maybe. And that's not me being harsh on Coburn. I really like Coburn, to be honest, and I would definitely go for him next season if it's available. I'm going to say I'd go a bit higher, maybe up to £2.5 million mark, purely because his goal return has been very good. I think
His injury record, eh?
but then that's the problem, the injury record. But then he's still young enough. It's a risk, but I think in this kind of market, there is no getting a striker that scores goals at the Championship for £1.5 million. I fear that's my fear. And he's proven he can score the goals. It's just getting over his injury concerns. But what we've had a good opportunity with him, and I think definitely the first spell, because I remember reading it in the South London Press and stuff online. He's been at the club doing his rehab with us. So now what that means, I feel like, if you're Millwall and you're obviously got to play up close and personal and you're seeing what he's about, you will know about his injuries. You'll have a real kind of judgment to make, and Millwall should have a value placed on him. I don't know what that is. We don't. We can speculate like we're doing here now, but I think that has offered the club the opportunity to have a good look at him, and also because he's not gone back, I think it also shows that Boro are not that interested in keeping him. So I'm sure there is a deal to be struck there. We'll have to wait and see though.
I think the biggest problem is I literally just started looking in July 23. He signed a 4-year contract as well, so he's contracted to the end of 26-27 season. So he's still got 2 years after this. So
Yeah.
That will
If they don't want him, they're going to want to sell him this window, ain't they? If they don't want him coming up to get the best value out of him, right?
Yeah. I'd have him. I think he's to your point. I think his goal per game record and stuff. I think his impact. He seems to be getting better and fitter. But I'd be reluctant for anything more than 2 million. I've gone up since 10 minutes ago, but no, I think 2 million will be my very, very maximum, and I'd want that in installments.
Alex Neil was interested in it. He said after the game Tuesday night about him, he wants him to be more. He's got his big frame, and he's also a bit of a lump in a sense, and he's a handful, isn't he? And he was a handful for the goal. I think he wants to see more of that, and so Neil can see something in him, I think, as well. So I think Alex Neil probably wants the deal to be done. It's probably safe to conclude on that one. Stephen Jeffrey also got a line-up in. He's got Jensen, Lenny, Coops, Kramer, Brian, Mitchell, Casper Denor, Honeyman, and Kundal, and he's put a marker coming in for Coburn and the big fucking Serbian. I'd go with the same as Sheffield, just change the striker, says Diggs. 2.75 million is the price that the Daily Mail says for Coburn. They won't sell for 1 mil, says Chris Brown. Champs player scoring goals, Boro will want 3 million plus. They'll want that, whether they'll get it or not. Charlie Douglas here says between 2 to 3 million. All right, Charlie, mate. 3 million from Steve Chilton. About as much as Oma's house as Steve Chilton. My house ain't worth much, mate. I assure you on that front. I agree with Frankie. The most is 1.5 million. And yeah, both the strikers from Kenneth here need to bulk up a bit. Getting knocked off the ball is too easy. I mean, Coburn done the business on Tuesday, mate. But you're right. They definitely both need to. But they're both young. And in that mind, they're only going to get better, right? So we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, we've given our team lineups. I think it's time to get our predictions in for tomorrow's game, guys. What are predictions for tomorrow's game? I'm going to get 11. Well, my 11, I said obviously Marku coming in. So I'd have Jensen in goal. I'd have Leonard continue at right back. Shout out to Leonard, by the way, for playing his first full 90 minutes and looking good. Maybe there is a bit of a worry about managing his minutes, maybe, because you don't want to break down. I'll throw that one in there. But I think at this stage of the season, we want to get the result. You've got to play your best team tomorrow. So Leonard plays right back for me. Kramer at right centre-half. Jake Cooper left centre-half. And then I've also got Brian left back. Midfield 2 of Mitchell and Denor. We haven't really spoken about Mitchell, but we spoke about him the other night. I just hope he continues his form because he was brilliant on Tuesday night. And they'll also have Honeyman continue with Kundal, and then I'd have a marker coming in for Coburn with Ivanovic up top. But I would go 4-2-2-2 again. I would keep a marker on the last line. I've just got this thing in my head of us on the break. I'm going to back a marker to score because I've talked myself into it enough times tonight to do so. So, yeah, I'm going to have that 11. And I'm going to tell you, I hope and I feel like we're going to win 1-0 tomorrow. 1-0 marker. That's my prediction. I just think what was interesting, someone shared with me online earlier. So obviously, people go onto the ticket website and stuff and pick areas in the ground to sit. There was a lot of blue still, so not any sold out areas, which I found was interesting because I suspect and think there'll be a big crowd tomorrow because there's not a bad crowd against Portsmouth, and I think probably more than the Portsmouth game. You've mentioned the away end, obviously, nearly 3,000, so they'll have top and bottom, won't they?
Yeah.
It surprised me that it's not, close to a sellout yet. I think there'll be a lot of people turn up on the day to buy tickets and stuff, but obviously everyone mentioned earlier about, having a full house, and typically we get let down by the side. But I just feel like I think the squad's got the bit between their teeth after Tuesday night, and I do think we'll get a clean sheet. I know I've mentioned Boro's good at scoring goals on the road, and they typically drew a goal. I think it's going to be a similar kind of occasion to Tuesday. And can we ride our luck again, similar to last season, where we just dug out these 1-0 wins? It'd be nice to get another 1-0 win and just look forward to the drive up to Blackburn next Friday that I've got ahead, and just think, cool, if we get nick another result today, it could quickly turn in our favour, and especially over the bank holiday weekends where you've got Friday and Monday. It could turn very quickly, couldn't it? Into what will we still be talking about after the Norwich game? Who knows? But I'm going to go 1-0. That's my prediction. I will read some of the comments before I come to you, Frankie, so I'll give you a bit more time to get your prediction ready.
Yeah, go on.
Andrew Roberts, 1-1 tomorrow. More worried about the banana skin. That is the Blackburn game. I do agree with you there. I think I will take a point at Blackburn. I've predicted a point at Blackburn. Only 2 points for their new manager so far, and can see him getting his first 3 points against us. Nailed on. Steve Chilton's gone 2-1. Peter Sullivan's gone 2-0. 3-0 win. Red card for us and them from Daily Millwall. Bloody hell. I wonder what the odds are on that. Charlie Douglas says 2-1 tomorrow and lose to Blackburn next week. 2 up top, 2-1, 1 up top, lose 1-0, says Chris Brown. 1-0 Wall, Ivanovic to score a free kick from Kenneth. I love that. 17,000 from Steve Chilton. That's a reference to obviously the attendance potentially tomorrow. Ball free, die free. My heart says 4-0. I love that. My head says 1-1.
I don't love that as much. Yeah.
3-1 Wall from Daniel Clements. 1-0 to Mill from Craig Jones. 3-2 from Sammy Feezy. And there you go. Frankie, cue us up. Tell me what you think the score's going to be tomorrow, please.
2-0. 2-0 Millwall. It won't be an easy one. I think we'll get a goal late in each half. And I've gone for goal scorers. We spoke about him not tonight. I'm going to go Joe Bryan. Going to back him.
Nice.
And Ivanovic, get a second.
Love that. Comfortable win, or we're going to be holding on for dear life and get a second?
No. Tense. We'll be shitting ourselves for 90 minutes, but we'll get there. We'll have that 13% possession, proper Millwall.
Yeah. I hope the crowd play a part. I think the players, like I said, are up for it. And I just, part of me thinks we'll do the business, but you never know. Like I said, just give me the drive next Friday. Looking forward to it against Blackburn. I'm committed to go in. I'm gonna, it's gonna be a good away day. Hopefully we can just have something to look forward to and be excited about it. And if we still have a chance going into the Easter weekend, why not? I think we can get 6 points from it. But realistically speaking, I'll take 4. But I'm getting too far ahead of myself here. We could lose the next 3 games, and then it's a shit trip up to Burnley, which also loads of train engineering works that bank holiday weekend, Frankie. So I'm gonna have to try and find a way to get to Burnley as well, mate.
Who schedules this shit? Do you know what I mean? He thinks to himself, we'll do major engineering work's last game of the football season.
Yeah, I know. And if anyone's thinking of going Burnley, look it out, because I think it said 3 changes and stuff. I was looking the other day. Last game of the season, I was like, I'm going to not drive and go up there and have a drink and stuff. But it looks like an absolute nightmare to get up to Burnley on the last day of the season. 12:30 kickoff as well. Yeah, but we've got to be there, mate. It's the last game. Look, we'll see Mill for a couple of months. You know what I mean? No?
Worst case, mate, I'll get Mickey to get a coach and everyone in the chat. We can all couple of hundreds can all turn up together.
Yeah, there you go. If we get a coach sorted on the minibus, anyone want to kind of jump in and come on the minibus with us? Especially if we've got something to play for the last game of the season. Coach 1 leaves 4 a.m. for Burnley. I don't think we're leaving that early, bloody hell. But yeah. Frankie, have you got anything else to provide for us before we start to wrap the show up today, mate?
No, mate, I've enjoyed it. Thanks everyone in the chat for getting involved. Been a good laugh. Hopefully tomorrow's another good one. Weather's nice. You can now get cocktail and some wine down at Den, mate. So very very modern these days, Millwall. Get yourselves down there. So
Yeah.
hopefully you can have a good day.
I'll see you for a beer when I'm at 1 o'clock. If anyone wants to join us, we'll be around the
Sit,
Blue Bar, won't we, for a beer. So come say hello if you're there tomorrow. That is pretty much us. If you've enjoyed it tonight, thank you everyone for commenting. It's been a good show tonight. I think it's really flowed for good 75 minutes. £9 in the comments for I guess that's a reference to the cocktail and wines for
Not for a pint. Not for a pint.
Not for a pint, but the pints ain't far behind, are they? Let's be honest. But I've been reading online about the new company that's doing the catering and stuff. I think obviously the club's investing quite heavily in the summer about the exec lounges and stuff. So a lot of mixed reviews. Mill fans don't like change. Who does like change? Let's be honest. But yeah, that's a wrap for tonight's show, guys. Thanks for tuning in and all your comments. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, follow us on socials if you want to get involved in the polls and all that sorts of shenanigans. At that Mill Pod on Twitter or X. It's still Twitter in my eyes. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. I'm going to wrap things up and we will see you again on Sunday, maybe for a space. Again, if you follow us on Twitter, you can join in on them as well and also have your say and say a few bits. Thanks for the new commenters. Kenneth, nice to see your commenting here. Your daughter Stacey does the hosting at the Den. She absolutely loves it. She says we are proper supporters. You're not wrong. Thanks, guys, and see you soon. Bye-bye.